The air in the Northwood District School Board meeting room was thick with the scent of old coffee and simmering tension. It was a familiar aroma in this chamber, where the future of thousands of children was debated, often with the passion of a courtroom drama. Tonight, the main event was Alistair Sterling, a man whose net worth eclipsed the district's entire annual budget. He sat at the polished mahogany table reserved for special presenters, his custom-tailored suit a stark contrast to the weary expressions of the elected board members. Sterling was a titan of industry, a venture capitalist who saw the world as a series of assets and liabilities. Public education, in his view, was a poorly managed asset. He was here to propose a strategic reallocation of resources, a sterile term for gutting the district's arts, music, and library programs. The savings, he argued, would fund the Future Forward Tech Initiative, a district-wide tablet and software integration program. It was no secret that a company Sterling held a majority stake in was the top bidder for the contract. To sell his vision, Sterling needed more than just spreadsheets and projections. He needed a narrative. He needed a face from the real world, a symbol of the common taxpayer fed up with frivolous spending. His gaze scanned the public seating area and landed on his chosen prop, Anya Sharma. Anya sat quietly in the third row, her hands resting in her lap. She was a familiar sight to anyone with a child at Northwood Elementary. Every morning and every afternoon, she was a steadfast presence at the corner of Elm and Main, her bright yellow vest a beacon of safety. She was the school's crossing guard, a woman of quiet dignity who knew every child's name and always had a warm, crinkle-eyed smile for them. Sterling's assistant had approached her a week ago, explaining that a prominent community benefactor wanted to honor a local hero and give her a platform to speak about the importance of fiscal responsibility. Anya, deeply committed to her community, had cautiously agreed to attend. Sterling cleared his throat, and the room fell silent. Members of the board, he began, his voice smooth and confident. We stand at a crossroads. Do we continue to fund outdated, sentimental programs, or do we invest in the skills our children need for the 21st century marketplace? We've become bloated with the nice-to-haves, while our children fall behind in the global tech race. He gestured toward the public seats. But don't just take my word for it. I've invited a guest tonight. A woman who is on the front lines every single day. A woman who sees our children, our families, and understands the value of a dollar earned and the importance of a practical education. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mrs. Anya Sharma. A polite, if slightly confused, ripple of applause filled the room. Anya's brow furrowed slightly. Mrs. Sharma? No one had called her that in 30 years. She preferred Dr. Sharma, but in her current role, the children simply called her Anya. She walked to the podium, the crisp fabric of her simple trousers making a soft sound in the quiet room. Sterling met her there, holding out a folded piece of paper. Just a few words we prepared, he whispered, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. To help you articulate the community's position. Anya looked at the paper, then back at Sterling's expectant face. She saw the words, tired of wasteful spending, need to focus on what's important, technology is the future. It was a script for a puppet, and she was no one's puppet. She gently pushed the paper back toward him. Thank you, Mr. Sterling, she said, her voice soft yet clear, carrying easily through the microphone. But I have my own words. Sterling's smile faltered for a fraction of a second before he recovered, stepping back with a magnanimous of course. He expected a few simple, perhaps even grammatically clumsy, sentences about saving money. He was about to be sorely mistaken. Anya adjusted the microphone. Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent McIntyre, parents, and teachers. My name is Dr. Anya Sharma. A few heads tilted. Doctor? Was she a medical doctor? Mr. Sterling is correct about one thing, she continued, her voice gaining strength. We are at a crossroads. But he has fundamentally misdiagnosed the path to progress. He presents a false choice between the arts and technology, between the soul and the machine. Sterling's posture stiffened. This was not going according to plan. For the past 5 years, I have had the profound honor of ensuring the physical safety of our children at the corner of Elm and Main. It is a role I cherish. I see the joy on a first grader's face when they show me their painting. I hear the rhythm a fourth grader taps out on their backpack, practicing for band. I help the middle schoolers who are lugging stacks of books they just checked out from the library. These are not frills, Mr. Sterling. They are the very essence of a holistic education. She paused, her gaze sweeping across the board members, each of whom was now leaning forward, captivated. Mr. Sterling speaks of preparing children for the 21st century marketplace. I spent 35 years preparing educators to do just that. Before I retired to be closer to my grandchildren here in Northwood, I was a professor of education at the university level. A low murmur spread through the room. Sterling's face was a frozen mask of disbelief. My first doctorate, Anya said, her voice steady and measured, is in educational psychology. It taught me that music and art are not luxuries, they are critical to cognitive development. They build neural pathways that enhance spatial-temporal reasoning, which is a foundational skill for success in science, technology, engineering, and math. The very STEM fields Mr. Sterling claims to champion. The murmur grew louder. A reporter in the front row began typing furiously. My second doctorate, she went on, is in curriculum development. I can tell you from decades of research that a curriculum stripped of the humanities is a curriculum that fails our children. It produces technicians, not innovators. It teaches them how to code, but not why they should code. It gives them tools, but not the ethical framework to use those tools wisely. Corporate-sponsored curricula often come with inherent biases, shaping students to serve corporate needs rather than fostering broad, critical thinking. Sterling, who had been staring at her, now looked down at his notes, his face flushing a deep red. He was no longer a benefactor, he was a student being lectured, and he was failing the class. And my third doctorate, Mr. Sterling, is in education policy, with a specific focus on socioeconomic disparities in public school funding. This time, a genuine gasp echoed in the chamber. With that, I can tell you that your Future Forward Tech initiative is a Trojan horse. It's a classic example of corporate interests attempting to divert public funds into private pockets under the guise of innovation. You speak of fiscal responsibility, but the real irresponsibility is creating a system where wealthier districts, funded by higher property taxes, can afford both technology and the arts, while districts like ours are forced to choose. This proposal doesn't bridge the achievement gap, it widens it, creating a permanent educational underclass. She turned her attention fully to the board. You are being asked to defund the very programs that foster creativity, empathy, and critical thought. You are being asked to sacrifice the librarians who teach our children media literacy, how to distinguish fact from propaganda, a skill more vital now than ever. You are being asked to silence the music teachers who give our children a universal language and the art teachers who show them how to see the world, not just look at it. And for what? For a technology contract that will be obsolete in 5 years, benefiting a single corporate entity while leaving our children culturally and intellectually impoverished. The data is clear, investments in teacher quality and well-rounded curricula have a far greater and more lasting impact on student outcomes than flashy, expensive tech rollouts. She looked directly at Alistair Sterling, her expression not of anger, but of profound disappointment. You saw my yellow vest and my stop sign, and you made an assumption. You assumed I was simple. You assumed I was a pawn in your game. You saw a crossing guard, but you failed to see a guardian. I guard these children's bodies every day, Mr. Sterling. I will not stand by silently while you attempt to cripple their minds. She concluded, her voice ringing with conviction, do not cut the heart out of our schools to line the pockets of a corporation. Fund our teachers. Fund our libraries. Fund our arts. Fund our children's future, not Mr. Sterling's portfolio. Thank you. For a full 10 seconds, the room was utterly silent. The only sound was the frantic clicking of the reporter's keyboard. Then, one person in the back row began to clap. Another joined, and then another, and within moments, the entire room, parents, teachers, even a few of the board members, was on its feet, erupting in a thunderous standing ovation. Alistair Sterling sat frozen, his face ashen. The carefully constructed narrative he had built had been dismantled, piece by piece, by the very person he had chosen to be its cornerstone. He had walked in a titan and was now a footnote in Dr. Anya Sharma's masterclass. The board president, a woman who had initially seemed swayed by Sterling's proposal, banged her gavel. Order. Order, she called, though a smile played on her lips. Dr. Sharma, thank you. You have given this board a great deal to consider. The Future Forward Tech initiative was dead on arrival. The motion to even vote on the budget cuts was quietly tabled indefinitely. The meeting concluded shortly after, but the story was just beginning. The next morning, the local news website ran the headline, he thought she was just a crossing guard, Dr. Anya Sharma, triple PhD, school's billionaire at board meeting. The story went viral. National news outlets picked it up. Anya's quiet life was over, but her new mission was just starting. She received calls from universities asking her to guest lecture, from think tanks wanting her policy expertise, and from other school districts begging for her help in fighting similar corporate takeovers. She became a reluctant celebrity, a symbol of hidden brilliance and the quiet dignity of those who serve. Anya still showed up at the corner of Elm and Main every morning. The work kept her grounded. The honks she heard now were not from impatient drivers, but from people waving in admiration. The parents who used to give her a polite nod now stopped to thank her, to ask her opinion on education policy. She was still their crossing guard, but now they saw her as their guardian in a much larger sense. Alistair Sterling's company withdrew its bid. He issued a terse, public apology, citing a misunderstanding of community priorities, and disappeared from public life for a time, his reputation tarnished not by a business rival, but by a retired academic in a yellow safety vest. A few weeks later, as Anya was helping a small girl with a violin case cross the street, a sleek black car pulled up. The tinted window rolled down, and Alistair Sterling looked out. He looked older, humbled. "Dr. Sharma," he said, his voice stripped of its earlier arrogance. I came to apologize. In person." Anya simply nodded, her stop sign held high to halt traffic. "Apology accepted, Mr. Sterling." "What you did?" He struggled for words. "It was educational. I've been doing some reading. About curriculum. About everything you said." "Good," Anya replied, a small smile touching her lips. "Learning is a lifelong process." He hesitated. "My family foundation, we're looking to make a significant, no-strings-attached donation to the district. Specifically for the arts and humanities programs. I was wondering if you would consider advising us on how to best allocate it." Anya looked at the line of children waiting patiently on the curb, their faces bright with promise. She looked at the cars stopped obediently behind the white line. She had spent a lifetime in the world of academic theory and research, a world of papers and conferences. But here, on this corner, was where theory met reality. Here is where policy had a face. Here is where the future she had always fought for was walking, running, and skipping right in front of her. She turned back to the billionaire in the back seat. "I'll think about it," she said, giving him the same warm, crinkle-eyed smile she gave the children. "But right now, Mr. Sterling, I have a job to do." With that, she turned her back on the car and the world of wealth and power it represented. She blew her whistle, a sharp, clear sound that cut through the morning air, and with a confident gesture, she waved the children across the street, their small figures moving safely toward the school, their minds and futures a little more secure because of the woman who guarded the crosswalk. I hope you enjoyed that story. It's a powerful reminder that wisdom and expertise can be found in the most unexpected places. If you were inspired, please show your support by hitting that like button and subscribe to the channel for more stories that uplift and inspire. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching.